CoPaw just dropped, and it might be the biggest contender to competing with OpenClaw we've ever seen. Now, Alibaba, one of the biggest tech companies on the planet, just released their own free AI agent. You can see the announcement right here. So this is a tweet from AI Search, and you can see the Tongi Lab actually announced that CoPaw was available right here. And basically, this is running via a free AI agent. It does almost everything OpenClaw does. It can run on your computer, it remembers everything, it works on its own 24/7. Now, here's where it gets wild, because CoPaw apparently can actually do things OpenClaw cannot do right now, things that once you see them, you'll wonder how you ever used agents without them. So today we're going to check it out and just see how it runs. If you want to take a look at it, it's open source. You can see it on GitHub right here. This is CoPaw, and this is running from Alibaba, right? This is your personal assistant, easy to install. You can deploy it. It was fairly easy to set up. What I would say is when you're using this, use something like Claude Code to help you get it set up, because it can be a little bit of work unless you're super technical. And you can see an example right here. Now, this is a preview in Chinese, but you can run it in English, as you can see. And then to run it, it's just like a one-line install like this. You can also run it using Docker, which is what I did today. And then once you've done that, you can actually set it up with like local models or all sorts of models that you want to use. So here's an example of how it runs. If you go over to the CoPaw console over here, this is CoPaw, and you can see, for example, we actually created this landing page. So inside the chat, one of the first things I would say is like even when I selected English, it started speaking to me in Chinese. So you can see an example of it speaking to me in Chinese here. And then what we actually did was we just said like, just reply in English, and then it switched back to English. And from there, I actually wanted to run a test to create a website, right? Now, the website itself is pretty awesome. Like, look at this website that it's created, and it just built this using the prompt that I'll give you. So it was a one-shot prompt. It just went off and created the whole page, which is pretty crazy. Like, all the FAQs were created. The colors are pretty nice, very colorful, very interesting. Actually looks better than the original in many ways. And if we go back to CoPaw, I'll show you how we did this. So literally you can use it inside the chat here. So you can say, for example, like, build a beautiful, fun landing page that's easy to use, and then actually just pasted in the information from the AI Profit Boardroom into the chat. Now, from there, it said, sure, I'll build you this. Let me create something that hits different, blah, blah, blah. And it went off, created it. You can see that it's sort of coding it out right there. And it's like, done. I've created this. Here's the link to it. So it's actually coded locally, and here's why it's good, etc. Here's the key sections that it's added. And it's like, if you want any tweaks or anything like that, just let me know. Now, the one thing that I'll say here is like the browser use was not working so well. So what I'd recommend is that if you want it to use browser use properly, just go back into Claude Code and get it configured properly. But it was pretty easy to set up. And the interesting thing is, on the left-hand side here, you can see that you can select like channel, sessions, cron jobs, and heartbeat, just like OpenClaw, right? It really does. It must be like an open source sort of version that was built around OpenClaw in the first place. Now, if we go to the settings over here, you can see that you can switch between different settings. And I'm actually running this with Ollama, right? So this is running, we can run it locally with Ollama. You can choose which, for example, which model you want to use inside the list. So you can run this completely for free, and it's quite easy to set up the API, right? So for example, we could run this with Qwen 3.5. We could run this with, for example, GLM 4.7. And these are both local free models, so that number one, CoPaw is free to set up. You can just run it from GitHub. And then Ollama is free to set up and run locally as well, right? And then you've got an autonomous AI agent running locally on your laptop, just like OpenClaw, and it's just running for free 24/7. Pretty crazy. Now, if we go over to the workspace here, you can quickly edit your files and that sort of thing. I want to see as well, actually, can we change it to dark mode, right? So right now it's pretty bright. That's what I would prefer it if it was in dark mode. It doesn't seem to be, but I wonder if you can switch it in some way. I'm sure you could if I played around with it a bit more.